Welcome to a football show, Thursday edition. Preseason game number 3 is upon us against the Cardinals over the weekend, and we will discuss all of the really exciting things that took place in joint Cardinals practice, if you want to call it that, for the Tennessee Titans this week. Welcome to a football show. His name is Zach. My name is Braden. Zach, how are you, sir? Good to see you.
Doing good.
We got a lot of stuff to talk about. There are now 47 safeties on the Tennessee Titans roster.
Oh my God, so many safeties.
There's so many safeties. So we're going to talk about all the safeties. There are some major offensive line issues. As we've been talking about for weeks, there's some things that are happening along the offensive line. So we're going to get into that, of course. You've got some Logan Woodside commentary. I've got some Malik Willis observations from practice as well. A lot of stuff to get to. Again, just kind of a meh joint practice this week. It really and I was out there Thursday, both days, but Thursday was just like, it was like they took a circus-sized balloon and deflated it in a matter of seconds. It was just like the air was just gone. They weren't wearing full pads. It was a very bizarre vibe at practice on Thursday. But I think they're just last day of training camp. They're kind of winding down. So week 0 in college football is here as well. So Vanderbilt must-win situation in week number 1.
If they want to win a game
against the group of 5. We'll discuss that a little bit later on because football's here, man, and it's a fun time of year. Special thanks to our great and amazing and wonderful title sponsors, the Kingston Group and Weiss Liquors. The Kingston Group, buildkg.com, Nashville's locally owned custom home and remodeling firm. Make sure you talk to them before doing anything or making any decisions about your house. It's not a difficult ask. Just talk to them. I guarantee you they will do better work than anyone else you're going to talk to. So just talk to them. That's all. Just a conversation. And Weiss Liquors, Zach, let them do what?
Let them drive so you can drink.
That's a great one right there. That's a phenomenal tagline. People pay millions of dollars to high-priced New York advertising executives, and you just did that on the spot. It's just that's how you roll, Zach. So
it's very natural to promote alcohol.
Yeah, for all of us. Go to Uber Eats, search Weiss Liquors, have them deliver all the booze right to your house, of course. And again, if you pop into the store, which is right there by Nissan Stadium, just go to the cashier and just say, hey, 440 Sports or 440, and they'll give you 10% off, so tax-free booze. Both companies, of course, supporters of a football show, are locally owned and operated in Nashville. Independent companies support local business, folks. Go to Weiss Liquors and check out buildkg.com. Okay. And also on the show today, the bi-weekly episode of Zach's Twitter beef. Always something.
Well, it's not, my Twitter beef is with Twitter itself. It's not with anybody in particular.
Okay. I appreciate that. I enjoy that. And again, if you want to chime in, turn on all the notifications, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Make sure you're checking us out. Share the product with somebody. We really, really appreciate it. And again, jump into the comments here, of course, and we will answer any questions that you may have. So go ahead. Throw them up in there, and we'll get to those a little bit later on in the show. All right, Zach. I felt like there was so much hype around the Bucs practices, and then we were going to get another one the next week against Arizona. Those practices were very productive, I think, for everyone involved, the teams, the players, the media, the fans, the coaching staff. Everybody benefited from that Tampa Bay practice. We come to this week. Everyone's super excited. Immediately, Vrabel starts talking about on Monday that they're changing everything around. The teams aren't going to practice against each other. It's just going to be some specific drills, and then they're not even going to have a second day. So it was very deflated this week. There was some really good 2-minute drill stuff, but I don't know who benefited at all from this practice on Wednesday between the Cardinals and the Titans.
Nobody benefited. And even I saw that select fans were out there as well. I mean, give me a fucking break. Why even have it? At that point, why did they even come in and travel to do it? And why are we bending over backwards for how Arizona does business? They're in our house. Why can't we film one-on-ones and get one-on-one clips just because Arizona doesn't allow it? Well, Arizona is apparently the most controlling franchise ever because they essentially put in a homework clause for their quarterback, and then they punished their quarterback by saying, hey, we're going to make you call plays. We're going to show you how hard it is. Oh, I don't get this Arizona franchise. I really enjoyed All or Nothing Arizona Cardinals. I thought that was a really great introduction to David Johnson, the story around him, Carson Palmer. This is one of the most unlikable, boring ass franchises around. I hate them. And I think that Mike Vrabel bending over backwards for Cliff Kingsbury and how they do business is utter bullshit, and it's a very beta move that I'm very surprised by Mike Vrabel.
Well,
Of course, they use this as an excuse because they just hate the media anyway. They don't want y'all to
right.
share anything. They're like, oh, well, we'll just blame it on the Cardinals.
I will say, like, clips of one-on-ones on Twitter, I know other people want to see them. Fans love them. They don't actually serve any purpose. Like, there's not really anything like I mean, they're fun to look at, I guess, and I get it. It like, why be like this if you don't have to be? I don't know. I will say, I think the one area that I think was beneficial was any rep that Malik will, and we'll talk more about this in a second, but any rep that Malik Willis gets in 2-minute drill is desperately needed, and he got a bunch of them on Wednesday, so that at least happened. So I think that is good. I think it's interesting that, like, Ryan Tannehill said this after practice on Wednesday, and we were all kind of like asking these questions on the sidelines as the plays were kind of happening. It's like, why is Arizona running a bunch of stuff they're never going to run in a game? Like, it was so weird watching their formations where they're dropping their linebackers into like 2 high safety looks, and it's just like all these weird, bizarre formations.
Like they're taking practice so seriously this one day that they are literally throwing defensive looks that they hardly ever use or rarely use. They're throwing it all at the Titans like they think they're going to fucking win something. It's like their Lombardi trophy.
And I almost could go the other way with that and say, are you helping yourself at all by doing a bunch of stuff you're never like? What does Mike Vrabel preach? Like, he literally today, after practice on Thursday, was talking about how they're going to manage kicking field goals at the end of games. And, like, it's all about not bringing in the kicking ball, right? Like, a tiny little detail that this is what makes Mike Vrabel so good. Like, he practices in real time every tiny possible thing that could happen that they would actually do. So I actually don't even understand Arizona doing what they did on Thursday or on Wednesday, which is practicing a bunch of stuff they're not really going to ever use. I don't think that even helps Arizona in any way. So I don't know why. Like, again, unless Vrabel went to Kingsbury and said, look, throw everything in the kitchen sink at us. Let's see how we do, which could be valuable. And frankly, they did terribly. They weren't good.
What is the point of that when you turn around and say that you guys basically didn't prepare? Like, any team across the NFL, even if it's Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady at the helm, or even Aaron Rodgers, if they don't prepare for a team at all and then see a bunch of wildly different stuff, then, like, I just don't think that that's Vrabel's thing. I think that Cliff Kingsbury takes this stuff too seriously. And I think that ultimately this is why, again, they'll probably start off a little hot and then they'll trail off, because that's the Cliff Kingsbury, Kyler Murray, brand, is to start off hot and then just die off at the end. And this probably leads to why they die off, because they're practicing way too hard for something that doesn't even fucking matter.
Well, and it's so funny that your perspective is that they practice too hard. My perspective is like that that I think Cliff is too laissez-faire. Like, he's too hands-off and too loosey-goosey. And, like, now what's funny is you talk about Kyler Murray and, like, the homework clause. I'm like, well, there's some organizations, the Houston Texans, that could have used a little bit more oversight with their quarterback.
Well, they did provide him with oversight. They gave him the NDAs to.
That's right.
You got to remember that part.
Yeah, they were
part of the cover up.
The wrong side of oversight.
Yeah,
that is for sure. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it just kind of. I was so honestly just stepping back as a football fan, just in general. Joint practices are so much fun to watch. And I was super excited to get out there on Wednesday, and I knew that the Thursday was already been canceled, and then it like Wednesday was kind of and then Thursday, honestly, like, they're wearing shorts. A lot of the veterans weren't out there. I mean, I know Derrick Henry had pads on and he looked great, but, like, largely it was a very slow, tame. I mean, even when the media is all going like, not learning a lot today, like that's when it's a kind of
and that's 2 days in a row where you walk away with with nothing. I mean, from something that should have given you some information and insight. Oh wow, DeAndre Hopkins, pushed a defender off of him and then caught a ball one-handed. Oh, like, we haven't seen that 3,000 fucking times. Like, yeah, we know that he is the king of offensive pass interference that never gets called. So, to me, it's like you walk away from this stuff, and I'm thinking, I was a little struggling to figure out what are we actually going to talk about that's pertinent to the Titans right now, because there's not really anything that was given to anybody throughout this week of practice besides what happened on Monday and Tuesday. Monday and Wednesday.
And I think some of what we saw along the offensive line, with Dylan Radins playing inside, which we're going to get to, Like that was something that was replicated on Wednesday. I think the 2-minute situation in the offensive line situation should not be overlooked. I mean, I think they struggled, but some of that was that the Cardinals were doing things that you would never do in 2-minute situations, supposedly, again, according to Tannehill. So I think there's still plenty of work, and I think we've talked about this before. As any time that Ryan Tannehill is getting reps with Kyle Phillips, Chiga Konkwu, Nick Westbrook-Akine, Austin Hooper, like guys that he's never really had lots of extended playing time with in the league in a game, I still think that's beneficial. So even if it was bad practice and they didn't perform well in the 2-minute, which they did not on Wednesday, they still got a bunch of reps throwing the ball to guys that he has yet to throw a ball to in an NFL game. So I'm still okay with that being somewhat beneficial.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could have just done that without any of the fanfare of having fans come out, and I just feel like they did disservice to multiple people besides, you know, I think their own players. I mean, I don't think you really walk away learning anything. You may get reps, but you don't if the reps aren't quality reps where your defense, the defense you're going up against is just throwing shit at you that doesn't even fucking make sense, then what good are those reps in the long run?
I kind of agree. I've got a Willis piece of commentary, but I'll wait till the Woodside situation. Kevin on the comment section here says you guys were ahead of your time. We'll take a victory lap on this in just a second with Radens at left guard and NPF at right tackle. LOL. So I agree with that. And then Chris asks, any chance that Woodside hangs on just because he can effectively run the scout team? We'll get to that in a second as well. So, Chris, thank you for doing the tease for me. We do appreciate that on the show. All right, do you want to get to the safeties here?
Yeah.
Because we were standing around today, and I said I was talking to Jim White. I was like, dude, how many safeties are on the roster, like right now? And we got to like 9 in seconds.
Yeah.
And it's just like they traded for another one. Ugo Amadi, of course, they gave up a 6th-round pick and got a 7th-round pick conditionally, and him.
And that's the second time in 10 days he's been traded.
Right. And they traded again for the guy from the Raiders. They got Lonnie Johnson. AJ Moore hasn't been available.
Which I think is a good thing. Let's get AJ Moore off the roster.
It might be a good thing. Theo Jackson is back at practice for the last week, so that's good news. But it's just weird. It's just weird to me. Like, I know that's been a problem for them. They haven't found depth at that position. You know, they've kind of been looking for it for a couple of years.
It feels like after the game 2, this last preseason game, they found that depth. I mean, Tyree Gillespie, Lonnie Johnson, Josh Kalu, Adrian Colbert all made different kind of plays and different impacts on that game. And we've seen that Josh Kalu does make plays on special teams. We saw that in 2019 specifically. I look at Lonnie Johnson. I think that, okay, well, this is a guy that they can get the most out of. And to do a little plug, on Wednesday evening from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., I did something called Broadway Happy Hour, where it was a Zoom call with a bunch of Broadway insiders. So go to BroadwaySportsMedia.com, subscribe today. And I was talking to the Broadway insiders, and I was just talking about how this team, and we've talked about it here, and we talked about it on Football and Other Efforts, how this team can take castaways. And even Vrabel, I think, said in his press conference, pretty much alluded to it, give them a chance to play, and they get the most out of them. Yep. Like, Ugo Amadi, to me, makes no sense. It's just such a weird thing after you just traded for another safety from the Raiders, after you just signed Lonnie Johnson to play both safety in this. And I'm thinking, why? And, Mike Herndon, he said, well, he does play a lot of special teams. I said, well, we have 25 people that we can say that about on this roster. You can only play 10, and on a field goal unit, you can only play 9 because you got the kicker and the long snapper. So I don't understand this obsession with, well, everybody's got to, all 53 has to play special teams, is what I feel like is what some people think. Well, we already got that. So then I saw that Ben Arthur said, well, in my time in Seattle, he played a lot of nickel. Okay, well, he played 106 snaps his career in Seattle at nickel, 106 at free safety. But is nickel a dire need for this team? I don't feel like it is. But then I turn around and I tell the Broadway insiders, I go, I can get mad about it. I can scratch my head and call it weird all I want. But in the end of the day, I'm going to look like the horse's ass because Mike Vrabel's going to get something out of Ugo Amadi that nobody else has. Tyree Gillespie is going to be an all-pro. All these guys are going to be contributors. And, like, it feels weird because it feels like I'm a flag-carrying member of, they can do no wrong. But every time I get mad about something, or they just prove me wrong. So it's
Right.
like, I get mad for like 5 minutes and scratch my head and thinking, well, I just put out my 53-man roster projection. Then you go and trade for somebody. That screws everything up. But I think what this signals to me in the larger scheme of things is that I think they may only be keeping 5 wide receivers. I think this is an indictment on, I think it's an indictment on their safety depth and their cornerback depth, but it's also an indictment on, well, we don't really need that 6 wide receiver.
Well, and there's a few fit moment, like Chris Jackson got roasted on one play in 2-minute drill. He's a guy that I've kind of been, I don't want to say high on, but a guy that I thought had earned a roster spot coming into camp. With the injury and maybe how he's played, it maybe hasn't been as good as we expected there. So maybe you're right. There's some depth issues there. I think, and of course, Stoney asked this on Facebook. If they're on such shaky safety ground, why wouldn't they have made a bigger play to keep Dan Cruikshank? And we've talked about this. He thought he was going to get more money. He's also been injured all the time.
He hasn't even played a snap for the Chicago Bears.
I just don't think they viewed Cruikshank as a valuable commodity. I think they thought they could find pieces. I find it interesting that they've traded for 2 of these guys. Like,
so odd.
That's what's strange about all this. Because again, you've got 9 or 10 of them on the roster right now. You're probably going to cut 6 of them, or 5 of them. I don't know what the number is.
They're at least keeping 5 of these guys, and it depends on where you put Lonnie Johnson and Ugo Amadi on the big scheme of things, right? Because they're kind of like the hybrid nickel. They could play corner, they could play safety. I consider them both safeties, and I already had them at 5. Now I think they're going to be at 6, and I don't think Des Fitzpatrick's going to make it.
Wow.
Or it's just a mess. Like, I feel like they're way overthinking the safety roster spot for whatever reason, which makes me think that there's something that we do not know about this team. And it's just curious. I'm just so curious to see how the 53-man roster went from, man, I really know all 53 players are going to be in it. And now the back end of it is just a fucking clusterfuck.
I think it is. I think that safety and middle linebacker, because they really only have 2 starters at middle linebacker and 2 starters at safety. There's nobody else at any position, because Monty Rice got put on the PUP list, which means he has to miss at least the first 4 games of the season, which means come on down, Chance Campbell. Welcome to the team. You're on the roster for sure now. I find it interesting that they don't, and some of this is just life in the NFL. If you lose a guy that's a starter, you probably are going to go to somebody who's just not that good, and that's just the way it works. But it seems like those 2 positions, they just didn't have a lot of depth coming into camp. And maybe they thought they did if Monty Rice was going to be healthy and Theo Jackson was going to be healthy and AJ Moore was going to be healthy. And like all those guys have been unavailable. So they've been kind of scrapping to find depth. And now they're just giving themselves a bunch of options to choose from before final cut down. It feels like that's where this is going.
The trading aspect is what is just so odd. If you would have told me that, late in the season, the Titans are going to trade for 2 players, I would have said, well, they're probably going to trade for a wide receiver and they may trade for a offensive lineman. And here they are. They traded 2 safeties.
It's like, odd.
It just is. It's just so it's odd, intriguing. There's there's a lot of mystery surrounding it and everything. And I'm thinking, well, now they may just keep 4 linebackers, because if Monty Rice is on the PUP, why even keep Jack Gibby on the final 53? Because then you can use that spot on, now maybe keep it 2 punters. I know that's crazy, but the Colts are needing a punter, and you can't let one of these guys go because they're both going to have to go through waivers. It's just, the final 53 is not as set in stone as I thought it was like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, and that's part of the beast this time of year, right? Like, guys get hurt and things work out that you didn't expect, and vice versa. I want to make a note on the punter situation though, because I will throw this in sort of in between our topic here, because we talked about how blah the practices were with the Arizona Cardinals. Here, what I would say, one of the moments of Wednesday's practice with Arizona that I thought was the most memorable was Ryan Stonehouse crushing balls.
Yeah.
He was, and here's the thing. Here's the thing that I have not seen.
Kicking balls. When you say crushing, you mean kicking the ball really far,
He's
not
kicking out of
going
the.
around and stomping on people's balls.
No. That's not Ndamukong Suh style ball crushing. Like this is
Yeah.
like traditional Craig Hendricks style ball crushing. He was in the back of the end zone, back of his own end zone. They were landing inside the other 20. And here's the other thing that I thought was the most important part of this. Not only with the hang time and the spirals, every now and then there was a kind of a wobbly one, but when he got it, which was I'd say 85, 90% of the time, when he got it right, they were very difficult to catch. Everybody dropped them. Kyle Phillips dropped them. Mason Kinsey dropped them. Treylon Burks dropped them. They were all dropping them. And it wasn't – there's something with the way the amount of spin he's putting on it or something. I don't know. The wind, the hang time, they could not catch it. So if you're going to give me that amount of hang time and make it difficult to catch, I don't know, man. If he can learn – Brett Kern still very clearly has the directional ability that's better. But, man, that dude has got a huge leg. You said it from the beginning. 51-plus yard NCAA record, family of punters. Also, his demeanor, nothing phases him. He is like he's all mullet.
So Stonehouse is stone cold.
Yeah, yes. Nice. He's just nothing phases him, and I think he's better than Brett Kern right now. And
I mean, ultimately, that's what you're deciding on, right? You're saying to yourself, I'm taking Ryan. I'm keeping Ryan Stonehouse and cutting Kern, let him walk because you think that sooner rather than later he will start dropping off and he can't keep the magic going. When as the regular season goes on, you're thinking we can teach Ryan Stonehouse to be more accurate because he's already got everything else, and that's all you got to do is teach him how to be accurate on his punts. So,
yep, yeah. If he gets the directional thing down like Kern has done so brilliantly for 10 years,
yeah.
Stonehouse is the guy for the next 10 years. Like
right.
It's all everything else is there for him. And I don't know if you can carry two. That seems crazy. So there you have it. All right. Malik Willis and Logan Woodside.
The
offensive line. Okay. So we were ahead of this.
Victory lap.
We were ahead of this. We told you a long time ago that the best 5 players could include Dylan Radins at left guard. He was playing right guard on Thursday. Nate Davis still. Where's Nate Davis? Now they have a lot of time off between their now and their first game and a couple of regular practices. So there's no real reason to be concerned. A lot of veterans were working over on the side. I did see that Danico Autry exists.
Yes.
He is alive.
Right.
He is alive and a human, and it does appear that there might potentially, hypothetically, be something wrong with his right hand, / wrist / who knows what. But this offensive line, like this is to me. Like packaged with the safety thing when you bring the safety thing into it, and you just go like, "You sure you didn't want to just try Eric Flowers? Like what? Like why didn't you just try somebody? Like because Dylan Radins, I watched him on Wednesday on the other field. He was not winning in one-on-one drills with the Cardinals defensive lineman. He was getting beat then too. I just it's not looking good for Dylan Radins.
Well, and that's the problem is that if he can't work it out at left guard, there's a small contingent of people who think that Dylan Radins can still be a left tackle in this league. And they think that the Titans are doing him a disservice by trying him out at guard because I can't explain it. I don't understand it. I talked about it on the podcast, Football and Other Efforts this week, about how Chase Young does play over the right tackle a lot more than he plays over the left tackle. So did he really move him, or is that just part of their normal game plan? And let's not forget that he still allowed the most pressures that game and that vaunted Hall of Fame performance by Dylan Radins that everybody wants to talk about. And he's getting his ass kicked every time he goes out there. And it's because defensive players know that after like 1 or 2 times going up against him, he's not vicious. There's no mean streak to him. They're not scared that he's going to punch back or fight back. They know they can bully him, and that's just what the film shows, right? So we said, and you said this from the beginning, and I've said since the draft that I thought that if they feel that Dylan Radins or let's go with Trevor Penning, if they were going to draft Trevor Penning in the first, then Dylan Radins would obviously go to your left guard, and that would be your best 5. And obviously NPF is catching up, doing what he needs to do, which is a good thing, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a good development. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's improving. He wants the desire to start and be a right tackle in the league. Dylan Radins is basically a pushover. You to salvage it, you have to move him to left guard, and we've said that all along. But when you talk about all of this, and I go back to depth, Jamarco Jones is. I don't know if he's going to make the team. Technically, I know that they will carry a hit against the cap if they cut him, but he hasn't been healthy. And when he's been healthy, he hasn't been good, and he's missed a lot of games. And so today, I went and looked at possible replacements around the NFL that could get cut. I went and looked at depth charts. Then I looked at what the local beat writers are saying their latest 53 projection is. So I went through all teams.
Yeah, all 32?
All 32.
Commitment, baby. I love it.
Yeah. We're going to go through it real quick. Bobby Hart, sloppy fart. He sucks. Chuma Edoga, he goes for the Jets. He's played both sides, left tackle, right tackle. He's probably okay, but is that really, do you really need just a guy that plays tackles, or do you need a guy that plays guard and tackle? Alex Taylor never played in a regular season game. He plays for the Browns currently and has only played LT in the preseason, and he's been all right, but he's, again, only played preseason in 3 years. Then you have Trent Scott. He plays both tackle spots. He sucks. Cameron Fleming is probably the best and most accomplished on the list. He's currently for the Broncos, and they're talking about he's not going to make it. And when he's healthy, he's got extensive work at right tackle in the career, and he's been very passable his career. He's only allowed 5.5% of pressures on all of his pass snaps. That's an intriguing guy, but that's also a guy that's going to look for a place to start. And if NPF is your starter, why are you bringing in Cameron Fleming? Roderick Johnson is a name to watch out for. He's the guy that used to be on the Texans for 2 years, and he's probably going to get cut by the Chiefs. He doesn't really move the needle. We're talking about strict depth. You got Zach Bailey.
Nobody that's about to get cut is interesting to me.
Yeah. So you got Zach Bailey, Eric Smith, LaRaven Clark, all suck. Kendall Lamb is probably going to get cut. Guess you could bring him back, but he sucks too. Obina Eze, who, of course, everybody knows that he went to school here in Nashville because, like, that fucking matters.
Oh, what are you talking? Hey, wait a second. That is what defines whether or not you'll be a successful NFL player.
Obviously. That's why, these guys get, go in the 6th round and get traded and are going to get cut because they played Nashville football.
In fact, it needs to be Overton, not just Nashville. It needs to be Overton.
But Obina Eze, he's on Hard Knocks. He's Lions. He's an undrafted free agent rookie. He's only allowed 1 pressure in 34 snaps. They did show interest in him, as well as showing interest in another rookie offensive lineman that's probably going to get cut from the Vikings, Vidarian Lowe from Virginia. Dan Skipper, he sucks. Chandler Brewer and Jordan Mills, they all suck. So if people who are going to get cut, guess what? Newsflash, they aren't good. So you're looking for depth pieces or practice squad guys. If you're looking for contributors on the waiver wire, people that got cut, they have to be listed under surprise cuts, and none of these guys are surprise cuts.
Yeah. D Good says, "Bring him home, baby. Bring him home." I love the Nashville thing. I love he's from Nashville, then he's got to be worthwhile.
And we only get questions like Ugo Amadi. What does it feel like to be back at your hometown? Oh, did you grow up rooting for the Titans? Instead of asking, hey, why do you think you got traded twice in 10 days? Does that bother you?
Yeah, that's a fair question. Let me so two quick questions here for you. One observation and then one question for you. Observation is I don't mind actually going after undrafted free agents that get cut because sometimes teams just miss on a guy, misevaluate him once he's in the camp, and they just let him go. And I think that's worthwhile sometimes, is going to get like a small an undrafted free agent rookie because you don't really know what they are yet. So I think there's some reward involved in that risk. Here's my question though: who's on your 53? Who are the top primary backups? Because Christian DeLaura has been the top tackle in. Jordan Roos has been the top guard in. So who are the Titans keeping right now in your mind on the offensive line?
I got Dylan Radins, Jamarco Jones, Corey Levin, and Jordan Roos. And I think that both Roos and Jones, I think both their seats are very warm. Those are the backups because I think it's obviously Lawan, Brewer, Jones, Davis, NPF. Okay. So I got them keeping 9. I said could be a surprising guy.
Sorry, hang on. I'm sorry to interrupt. You said DeLaura, Roos.
No, I said DeLaura can go fuck off. No. He should not be on this team.
Roos, Jones, Levin.
Radens.
Radens.
Because Radens technically would be a backup.
To Brewer. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the 9. All right. That's about right. I mean.
Yeah. I said it could be a surprising guy to take someone's spot. You know, maybe Jamarco Jones gets cut. This guy comes up, or maybe him and Jordan Roos kind of switch out here at this last spot. But Xavier Newman-Johnson, who has performed really well in the preseason, nobody's really talking about. And he's played all 4 spots. He's played, I think, he's played a bunch of the spots on the offensive line. He's done really well. Take an off-planet shuttle. These are guys I want them gone from my existence for forever. Willie Wright, Christian Delurio, and Andrew Rupsich. And maybe sticking around the practice squad is going to be Hayden Howerton, Jalen McKenzie, with Xavier Newman-Johnson or Jordan Roos right there as well.
Howerton's kind of one of the first guys in on the second team as well. This is what it looks like when we're at practice. We got these roster sheets here that we fold into halves, and then we're this is what we do. So if you're watching on the YouTubes and the Twitters and the Facebook, that's what we do. And you fold it in half like that, and then you get to monitor your players.
That is ridiculously long. I mean, that's like the legal pad, right? I mean, legal size.
But you got to get every single player on there. And for those of you who've never been, like, you clearly want to organize it numerically, not alphabetically, because that doesn't help you. So you have to do it numerically. So there you go. All right. Malik Willis and Logan Woodside.
Yes.
So do you want my first my this week of practice Malik Willis observation first before you get into Logan Woodside? Okay. So this is not necessarily new information, but I do think it sort of crystallizes a point about Malik Willis. And again, not going to be earth-shattering stuff here, but he did run the 2-minute drill on Wednesday against the Cardinals. They weren't good. Neither was Tannehill, but Willis wasn't good again. And I was sitting around like with 3 other media people, and I asked every single one in separate conversations, and I said, can you remember a 2-minute drive in camp at any point during camp in which Malik Willis led a score where the drive was considered quote unquote successful? And we came up with 1 touchdown pass to Des Fitzpatrick in 3 conversations. And then we couldn't come up with another one. And the point being, it doesn't matter how many you can come up with. If you cannot come up with them, that's the problem. That's the story. And again, just reiterating that he's very, very long. He's a very long way away from being a starting quarterback. I still think, and this goes to Thursday's practice, Logan Woodside had a clear and terrible pick 6. He is worse than he was last year. Logan Woodside is not as good as he was last year or the year before. I still think I would keep Malik Willis and not Logan Woodside. I think that is what I'm now. I know we said that on Monday, but I think I'm definitely saying it today.
I'm definitely, I think, back on their keeping 3 quarterbacks, and I don't think I'm with you. I'd rather them just keep Malik Willis, but I do think that they're going to keep 3 quarterbacks, and I think that
it's a roller coaster for you.
It is. I go back and forth, so I think I'm just going to settle that the team is going to keep 3 quarterbacks, and I go back to what Jim Wyatt said on Tuesday. And he said, at this point, I don't think Malik has proven himself ready to be the number 2. And I can't help but wonder if Woodside is instead competing against another quarterback who could become available another week or so.
Ooh.
So he said that in his mailbag on Tuesday. Now, I'm not going to be like another Twitter user and go in my car and film a video and say, with all, I love, this person, but I'm not going to name them, is what this guy said. And he goes, I don't know. And he goes, because I respect him too much. And then later, 5 minutes later, he goes like, I don't know how fucking stupid you could be, talking about Jim Wyatt saying this.
Who are we talking about? Are you gonna name names?
Sal Manfredi, who's a complete and utter loser. He does this. He cries in his car and films himself and does all these weird videos in his car. But he has this weird. It's one of those Twitter accounts that has a weird following that shouldn't. Because obviously he doesn't respect Jim Wyatt because he just said, I don't know how fucking stupid you can be. And he has no clue what he's talking about. So I think it's plausible that while that makes sense for Jim Wyatt to say, because I do think they're going to keep 3 quarterbacks, and we obviously, from what you say, Malik Willis may not be ready. But I do think it's plausible that they are looking at veterans. But when you really start looking at the backup quarterback situation around the league, ain't nobody better. There's really not, because what you're looking for at this stage of the game, because if they're going to come in and truly be your second quarterback, your immediate backup to Ryan Tannehill. You need a veteran quarterback hitting the market that's familiar with the offensive system. So not necessarily Todd Downey's system, but knows how to run.
Blaine Gabbert, baby.
And you need a veteran quarterback that's better than Woodside.
Blaine Gabbert.
Blaine Gabbert is not better than Logan Woodside.
Yes, he is.
No, he is not. And he's not getting cut from Tampa Bay. Kyle Trask is again. They're not going to run with Kyle Trask. And Blaine Gabbert's not better. Because if he was, they wouldn't have kept Logan Woodside around on the roster over Blaine Gabbert.
Maybe that's true. I think you had it right on Monday. Like, I'm just so done with this conversation.
Yeah.
Like, Logan Woodside somehow, some way, through consistency and smarts, making good decisions, protecting the football, and consistently doing that is how he won the backup job the last 2 years. He has not been that this year in camp. So to me, watching him throw a pick six to Christian Fulton on Thursday,
Malik Willis threw a pick six to Arizona Cardinals just
right.
the day before.
But that's what Logan Woodside didn't do the last 2 years. Is what I'm trying to say. Like I expect that from Malik Willis.
I think that there is I'm going to go back and double check that because dollars to donuts. That is not Logan Woodside's first pick six of his offseason career.
That may be totally true. What I am telling you is that he is worse this year at this time during this camp than he was each of the last 2 years. And I asked a few people, I was like, hey, do you see this too? Like, he's not looked like the same. It's not about like playing behind a worse offensive line in a preseason game. I'm talking about practice, and we're talking about practice. And the people I've spoken with all agree with me. He is not as good as he was the last 2 years, and that is making
struggling with the Tim Kelly effect. Like, I think that they're asking him to do more than what his arm can do. But when you go and look at the guys getting cut, Matt Barkley, he already beat that guy to death. Yeah. Josh Johnson, Tim Boyle, Kevin Hogan. Oh, he already beat that guy too.
I don't want any
Bryce
of those
Kirkland, Skylar Thompson, Sean Mannion, Davis Webb, Brock Purdy, Ryan Griffin. All guys that they're either the same at talent level, or if they're worse. And really, when it comes down to it, aren't you going to keep the guy that knows all your players, knows all the playbook already? There's just no reason to cut him, and I just don't think they will.
I don't. You're probably right, but in my opinion, if we are discussing a Tannehill-less team,
I'd rather go Logan or Malik Willis all day long.
I'd rather go Malik Willis, and frankly, I don't think it matters. Like, it doesn't. This is what's so weird about this conversation is that, like, I would rather Malik Willis get out there and get reps and lose a game if I'm a Titans fan than, bring in some waiver wire guy who's give you some. What is a waiver wire guy going to give you over Malik Willis? Like a 2% chance of winning a game more?
The only guy that's really out there that may get cut but probably won't because Matt Corral just got injured is P.J. Johnson. That's over at Carolina. But with Matt Corral being out for the season, they're not going to let him go because they know somebody will pick him up.
Well, and Matt Rule coached him at Temple, by the way.
Yeah.
Way back in the day at Temple. So, listen, you think Logan Woodside is still better than the vast majority of other backup quarterbacks?
I think he's the vast majority of backup quarterbacks that will become available at the 53. Okay. I don't think he's one of the best quarterbacks. I think he's the best of the worst, which is the guys that got cut.
Gotcha. I'm on board with that.
Yeah, because I mean, when you're talking about that list, and that's the best names on the list. I mean, there's going to be a lot more quarterbacks to hit the market. So unless they're going to trade for one, which would be ridiculous, and unless there is some wild surprise cut that we're not expecting, then I just don't see that this guy. I just don't feel like they're going to risk putting Malik Willis in these games if it came down to it. But I don't understand why not just go ahead and take the risk. I personally don't get it.
That's exactly where I'm at. It's like, dude, we've looked around. We've searched the world. We've tried everything else. We drafted this guy in the third round. He clearly has more talent than everybody else. Just ride with the guy.
I knew P.J. Johnson wasn't right.
Yeah,
someone corrected me. Yeah. P.J. Walker.
Thanks, Kevin. Way to go. No, you're right, Kevin. We love you. I just, to me, I'm just like, what? Like, just remove the headache from the equation and just ride with Malik Willis. I don't know.
But they won't do that. I feel like that in their bones, they will not let that happen.
All right, before we move on, special thanks, of course, to our title sponsors, the Kingston Group and Weiss Liquors. Zach, let me ask you something, buddy.
Yes.
If you were going to add a whole new Titans wing to your house, like, what would you want? First of all, what would you put in the Titans wing? Like, you've got a whole new wing of your house.
Well, definitely a bunch of TVs, obviously a kitchen inside that room, because to
Ooh.
me, having to leave to go to the kitchen or leave to go somewhere, to get something done, I'm going to go kitchen so I can cook there, I can serve there, and all that kind of stuff. So, kitchen, dining room table, couches everywhere, and a big, large TV.
I think definitely a wet bar.
Yeah.
I need some indoor outdoor. I need some like two-way versatility space as well, right? Like I want some outdoor space that can be indoor and some indoor space that can be outdoor. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
some garage door or something. I need some convertible space that can play both left guard and right tackle, inside
There you go.
outside. So I want all of that. And you know who could do all of that for you, Zach? If you wanted to put a wing on your house.
Oh, who? Tell me.
Weiss Liquors. No, Kingston Group. Kingston Group can do that for you. BuildKG.com. Check out their Instagram page, by the way, and their Twitter account. Like the photos of the stuff that they do, I'm telling you, it is better than any home makeover show you've ever seen. Go look at their work. It is exceptional. It is extraordinary. And if you're going to do something with your house, make sure you check out the Kingston Group, Build KG. Locally owned and operated, award-winning for over 10 years in Nashville. BuildKG.com. And, of course, Weiss Liquors. Football show is brought to you by Weiss Liquors. Go to Uber Eats, search Weiss Liquors, have booze delivered right to your door. What would you deliver right to your door right now, Zach? If I could send, I'm going to send you booze right now. What do you want?
I would need. I just ran out last night of some Teddy Love Pilsner from Fat Bottom.
Okay.
So I need that.
All right.
Or Pitch Invasion. I'll take either of those from Fat Bottom.
Also, check out Weiss Liquors' Instagram account at Weiss Liquors on IG. They always post on story. They always post on their stories about allocation Friday. So on every couple Fridays, they have an allocation of good bourbon, which of course you can't get anywhere. And they put it out, and it's gone in like 30 minutes. So make sure you're following them. Make sure you check them out on the socials. And again, Uber Eats, search Weiss Liquors, have the booze delivered right to your door. And of course, if you go in right there on Gallatin and East Nashville, right there by Titan Stadium, say 440 at the cashier, get 10% off tax-free booze. There you go. All right, game number 3, Titans and Cardinals. What are you actually looking forward to in this game, Zach?
I'll tell you what I'll be watching. I don't know if I'm technically looking forward to it. Obviously, Malik Willis's improvement. Keep on improving. See what he can do. See if Treylon Burks is actually going to play. What Radens does at left guard and how much action does he see at left guard, and if any of it's actually any good. And what all these new safeties do this week. Like that's what it's kind of like a game. Like if the starters play, that's great. If the starters don't play, that's also great. Like I guess they're just going to start off slow against the New York Giants because that's what they like doing. So we'll see.
Of the 53 that you are now confused by, bamboozled even, how many? Yeah, Kevin says no injuries. That's exactly what we're all looking forward to. There's no question about that. This is all about Mike Vrabel and John Robinson finalizing the last spots on the roster, right? So what are the debates in your mind? Who are the last 5, 6, 7 players that you think right now that should be concerned and nervous and are going into this game going, I got to prove myself to earn my spot?
I think Greg Maben, Chris Jackson, I think, Trey Avery or Trey Swilling, if you want to consider those guys. I think the back end of the cornerback room should be looking over their shoulder. I think that the safeties, sorting that whole mess out. There's a lot of guys there. Obviously, Deshaun Hand needs to make some kind of impact this game if he wants to even be considered to be on the 53. Because right now, DeMarcus Walker, Deshaun Hand, that's your 5 and your 6 defensive linemen, but they're so far apart in importance to this team. So, but out of all those guys, Deshaun Hand is the closest to being on the roster. And I think this whole offensive line mess that's going on right now, obviously Radens is secure because technically he's a swing tackle like Jamarco Jones. But if Jamarco Jones isn't healthy, and I think that him and Jordan Ruse are like first guys on, first guys off, or last guys on, first guys off, because I think that they could easily be interchanged with one of these other guys. And obviously, Des Fitzpatrick is playing for his role in general. I think that the 6 wide receiver spot is a spot that may not even exist. They may just go 5. And I think Tommy Hudson also is looking to play for his life as well.
So it sounds like we got probably, 8 to 10 players?
I would say about 8 to 10, yeah.
That are fighting for 4 to 6 spots, something like that.
Yeah.
After Dez, there's a lot of people that really like Mason Kinsey. He has had a very good camp. I don't think he's he's not better than Kyle Phillips. He's not going to play more than Kyle Phillips. By the way, Kyle Phillips on Wednesday went over the middle down the seam in 2 minutes. Tannehill hit him in a very difficult pass. He got smoked. Clean hit by the safety from the Cardinals, but he got here's the thing with Kyle Phillips. It is not hard to make his body flop around when you hit him. He's not a big dude. He got barely touched, and it was one of those where head over heels, and you're like, whoa, and the whole crowd elicits a response. So
I look at this thing with the 6 wide receiver spot, Mason Kinsey, whatever, who gives shit, is that with Traylon Burks having these issues, who's closer to Traylon Burks in terms of the measurables between out of the 6 wide receivers?
Racy.
Out of the 6 wide receiver and back, people that are not making the team.
Oh, not making the team?
Yeah.
Probably.
It'd be Dez.
Probably
would be that guy, right? So, that to me is what, because then if Racy's playing that spot, then who's closest to Racy?
Yeah. I mean, frankly, Dez is not going to ever do the down the field stuff like those two guys.
Yeah.
Reggie Roberson might be a guy that in certain routes goes down the field. I don't know.
But I'm just saying that if they're keeping the 6 wide receiver spot, they're not keeping a Mason Kinsey. They're keeping a Dez Fitzpatrick.
I agree with that. I think Dez is on the team. I think they're going to keep 6, but I'm trying to figure out what's the pecking order after him. And I think it's Kinsey and Roberson, and that might be it.
I would say that Roberson is going to get called up before Mason Kinsey in most instances of an injury.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what Reggie does this weekend.
That's probably true. And as Carlos points out, go Titans.
Go Titans.
There you go. That's all you need. You just drink some beer, buy it from Weiss Liquors, sit in your brand new man cave built by Kingston Group, and watch a bunch of guys that are about to lose their jobs playing a football game that's kind of a football game. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's so weird. Preseason game 3, it's just so weird. It's so
it'll be nice to see if there's some surprise cuts from other teams that can make some waves for the Tennessee Titans, but they're also so far down the waiver wire priority that it's those guys are typically going to be gone by the time the Titans get to claim them. Kind
of an uneventful week, man.
I know.
I know. I mean, if the most eventful thing we saw was a punter, I don't know, that's all you need to know. Week 0, college football is here, baby, and yes, there is an SEC team in action this weekend, and it's a must-win situation because the Vanderbilt Commodores are on the road against Hawaii, 9:30 Central Time. No, Stoney, I'm not going to break down Northwestern and Nebraska. Stop it. Just stop it. But although it is in Ireland and it is going to be it's an actual Big Ten conference game, so that's kind of cool. But Vanderbilt at Hawaii. Here's the thing. Wife goes to sleep. Kids go to sleep. Dogs to sleep. You got the whiskey that you bought from Weiss Liquors. You got the TVs going. I'm watching Vanderbilt at Hawaii. It's a 6.5-point spread. It could be a close-ish game. I'm not suggesting it's going to be high-level viewership, high-level football, but it could be a close game in a beautiful setting. Mike Wright's an established quarterback for Vanderbilt. And if Vanderbilt's going to hit the over 2.5 this year, if you got money on the over, this is a must-win situation for the Vanderbilt Commodores. Must win, baby.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'll probably forget it's even on by the time it rolls around that night and be watching something else. It's Vanderbilt Hawaii. Don't know if that really is gonna keep my attention or whatever. Of course, it's right after I guess when the Titans game will be over on Saturday. So the good, nice little transition. Like a little bit of a nightcap. Like it's a nightcap game. Like
here's the deal.
Yeah,
lay the 6.5. And bet Vanderbilt over 2.5, and then you have a very real reason to watch on Saturday night.
Yeah, because
if you take the over on the 2.5, this is one of the only times that you need to watch.
Yeah.
So there's nothing else happening. Very rarely is Vanderbilt going to command any attention at all or any interest. We've been jonesing for college football for 9 months. Why not? Why not?
Because there's other ones I can get my college football fix on. Like this.
What do you watch?
I don't know. This is the game in Ireland.
Well, that's at 3:00 in the afternoon. That's early.
There you go. Go from 3:00 and head into the Titans game, and then I'll be done.
You don't want to watch Wyoming and Illinois, old Burt Bielema and the Illinois Fighting Illini hosting the Wyoming Cowboys?
Yeah, you make it sound exciting, but it's not really that exciting.
It's only a 10-point spread. How about Utah State and UConn?
No.
I'm doing this off the top of my head. That's how sick and twisted I am. Oh man. There's a UTSA game that's worth watching on Saturday as well.
Yeah, maybe that one.
Good. That's a good, decent football team. So there you go. Kevin asked if our fantasy league is still happening. Zach, I don't know. Is it happening?
I don't know. You're in charge.
I think we won a fantasy league.
Yeah.
The question is, so here's, you want to live workshop this for a second?
Yeah.
So a couple of people DM'd me and were like, "Hey, we'd love to be in the league," and I was like, "Absolutely, you're in." Here's my question for you, Zach. Should we do we have to do it in person? Does everyone need to be in Nashville?
I don't think we'll be able to get all that down. Now, if you want to be able to give them the option to come somewhere in Nashville, then yes. But more than likely, people with everybody's schedule, whatever time you set the draft, it's gonna be hard to do.
That's valid. That's valid. I think we'll keep it simple in terms of a scoring system because I know you like that. You like simple things.
So point PPR, 6-point touchdowns, 25 yards per pass,
10
for quarterback,
10 for rushing
10
and
for 10 rushing receiving.
No, and you're not going to let me do IDPs.
No IDPs.
God, so rude.
People don't have 15 hours to draft.
So disrespectful. So disrespectful. All right, so we'll get it going, and just turn on the Twitter account, turn on the notifications, make sure you're following us, and we'll shoot out a link and we'll get the draft going. And I think there's a few of you that have sort of already been grandfathered in. So maybe we can get a few Broadway sports guys to join. You want to get some Broadway sports?
12-team league. So we got to figure out how many spots we got. Don't want to bring anybody out from the outside in. I want to fill it with listeners. 10
listeners and Zach and I, and we'll put something on the line where if you beat both of us, then we'll give you some cool gift card to Weisslickers or whatever. So
sounds good.
We'll do something. So just stay tuned. Follow the Twitter accounts for that. Special thanks to Weisslickers and Kingston Group for supporting the show. Again, please go check out their accounts. Check out the websites, buildkg.com, Weisslickers on Uber Eats. They'll send the booze right to your house. So do all of that. Zach, where can people find you?
Find me on Twitter at FWordSpot.
There you go. Football and Other F Words every Wednesday. Make sure you check that show out as well. All the other great shows from Broadway Sports Media.
We're not closing up yet.
Oh, we're not.
We got not a football show going on.
That's
I
right.
have Twitter beef with Twitter.
God, I'm so sorry. I can't believe I did that. I'm so sorry.
So I have an issue with the targeted ad I have been seeing for about a few days now, and I've saved it because I don't know why I've received this ad. So I haven't blocked it or muted it or say I don't like to see this ad because I've been saving it for this occasion. But I have the tweet right here, and I want y'all to watch this tweet that I got. So I'm going to bring up the tweet here.
Oh, wow.
Just a second. Okay. So we got the tweet right here.
Look at this. Look at this.
So hopefully it plays with audio. We'll see. It's not going to play with audio, it looks like.
Okay, so those of you,
do you hear it? Because it's playing. It was playing. Okay, hold on.
This is live radio here. Nope.
Not hearing it?
Not hearing it. So for those on the podcast, it says, it's so important to be an advocate for your health. C period. Different survivor Kiki shares her amazing story. And I can't even read who this is from.
This is from Faring Microbiome, and it is for deadly diarrhea. So this is promoting a medicine, a pill of some sort or something to help cure her diarrhea because she can't even leave the house. I can't even spell diarrhea. So I would like Twitter to know that I don't have really bad diarrhea. I can't even spell it. I have to look at it.
Oh, God.
And I think it's ridiculous. I don't even know why I got targeted. I don't even use the word diarrhea at all. This is the most I've used diarrhea in
you never
5 years.
You never Google searched like anything? Because that's where it comes from, is like all your online history.
I have never. Now, the only thing I have was months ago for Huxley, and when he had stomach issues. And I would Google dog has runny poop or dog,
that's it.
Like that. But I'm not a dog. Dog doesn't use Twitter.
So, but how about
that was like 3 months ago?
Are you in fact accidentally throwing your wife under the bus here?
No, because she doesn't have diarrhea either.
Okay, that's enough.
That's enough. We do not have a diarrhea pooping issue in this household among the humans that are that use Twitter.
So.
Yes, I know that making it worse for sure.
I know
this is the most I've ever said it in like 5 years.
Stoney is like Stoney Keeley instantly of the Sobros Network, instantly doing research, and he's like turns into a live producer when we do this, talking about Clostridioides. I don't even know what that is. Difficile, which is like a Spanish word. It's a bacterium that causes diarrhea and colitis, an inflammation of the colon. It's estimated to cause almost 500,000 infections in the United States each year. Here's a question, and I can't confirm or deny if any of that's true. It's irresponsible journalism me to just read your post, Stoney, on the air. It is deadly. Has there been a death due to diarrhea? Like, is that a thing?
I'm sure there is, because it's dehydration and stuff. If you can't leave the house or you can't get a hold of someone, you're just exploding diarrhea everywhere in your room, bathroom, and just apparently this woman is just covered her house in diarrhea. I don't even know how it looks so clean. This must be someone else's house.
This is my favorite. Zach doesn't have really bad diarrhea.
Just let Twitter know I do not have really bad diarrhea, and I feel attacked and triggered by this message.
But that, in theory, is death by dehydration, not death by diarrhea. So I want to know can you actually perish directly from the act of diarrhea? Like an exploding colon, and all of a sudden you're dead. Like I don't
assume so. I mean, people get backed up, right? And they can get infected because they can't.
That's the opposite of diarrhea.
And that's what I'm saying. But why can't it be the other way, right?
Oh my God, this is what everybody comes to a football show for.
Apparently, what was it? What did he say? It says estimated to cause almost 500,000 infections in the United States each year. So obviously, you can die from an infection. So good for Kiki, which I feel like a 50-plus-year-old woman named Kiki is utterly utterly ridiculous. Keekee.
With a space in the middle.
Yeah, with a space in the middle. But like, she can't even leave the house. So that's what she says. I can't leave the house. I got fucking diarrhea. It's deadly diarrhea.
There's so many like not serious conversations, and then there's like a couple of really serious conversations about this, which is how do targeted ads actually find you on social media apps, which is based on literally everything you've ever typed into your phone. Like if you've typed anything into a search bar in a URL, a Google search, on a podcast app, anywhere in your phone, it has been collected and stored and tracked. Your locations are collected and stored and tracked. I'm not trying to be Big Brother here. It's just
maybe Goodlettsville is a big diarrhea town. Like apparently Goodlettsville, Tennessee is just filled with deadly diarrhea. It's just citizens shitting everywhere.
Big diarrhea town. Big diarrhea town. Goodlettsville. So, but that's how you end up with that ad. So there has to be something in your daily life on your phone, internet travels that indicate that you need to be concerned about deadly diarrhea.
I guess so. Maybe it's just all the recipes I've been using, and apparently they must think that these recipes are causing me a ton of diarrhea.
A lot of spicy chorizo in those recipes?
No, like I mean we have to keep it a little mild for the wife. And
okay, all right.
I don't get it. I'm pissed off at Twitter.
God, I'm so glad that I'm so pissed at myself that I almost did not allow this part of the show to happen. I'm so glad we got it in there. So thank you for that.
No problem.
Man. I don't know where to go from here. Go to Weiss and start drinking. I don't know. Buildkg.com if you need a renovation on your house, and apparently to Twitter if you need to solve your deadly diarrhea problem. Oh my God. Okay. Jack, where can everybody find you?
At FWordsPod and not on the toilet. I poop regularly.
I mean, I've got a regular schedule too. I play morning games. I play road games. I'm fine with that. I think everybody should play road games. I think it's fine. I think it's a good idea. I got 2 daughters, and they're gonna hate this. I got one that plays road games just fine, and the other one that doesn't. And I'm like, that's gonna cause you problems.
Yep.
She's gonna end up like Kiki later on in life.
Yep. I'm gonna have that explosive diarrhea problem.
My name is Braden Gall. Mercifully, this has been a football show. Thank you guys for listening. Enjoy the weekend. We'll be back on Monday. For Zach, I'm Braden. This is 440 Sports.